Congressman Byron Donalds, he is joining us live here on set to weigh in on all this. Congressman, good to see you. We appreciate your time. Now, didn't you have a baseball game that you played recently? First of all, how are you feeling after that? A huge win that the Republicans got to celebrate.
Look, we won big, 16-6. Yeah. It was fun. You know, it wasn't a big deal. I feel fine. No.
You were ready for it. Let's talk about, if we can, the federal indictment that the president faces. 37 federal charges. Again, the former president, has pleaded not guilty to those. Released on his own recognizance, raises $6 million the very same night. But either way, he called this, and other Republicans have called it election interference. These charges brought by Special Counsel Jack Smith moving forward with this. We know the current president faces his own investigation for the handling of classified documents, yet there's no information on this investigation. No one has come out and said where it is or how it's happening. But in terms of the president calling this, again, indictment election interference, it will play out through the course of the election, through the primary, and possibly not even go to trial until after the election. Many are speculating. Where do you stand on that thought by the former president on terms of calling this investigation or these charges election interference? Do you agree with that?
It is. It's highly political. This is intended to diminish President Trump without a doubt. And look, compare the two investigations that are actually happening. Has anybody heard a leak coming from the special counsel looking into Joe Biden? No. What do we see about what's going on with Donald Trump? Photos are out there. Transcripts are out there. I thought this was a criminal case to be taken seriously, not a media, not something to be weaponized in the media. Last piece on this. The only way this case could have even gotten to a criminal standing is for the Department of Justice to ask the White House for an ability to expand the scope. And the White House counsel gave the Department of Justice the authority to expand the scope and to ignore executive privilege in this case, considering documents had by President Trump. This is the only way we could even got to this point. So it is highly political. You compare that to the other issues of previous officials and their document issues never reaching this standard. Come on, man. This is one of the worst things for our country, and it's being propagated against the American people because they've continued to go after Donald Trump. It's been 7 years in running, and they're not going to stop, so you have to take a stand against it.
I wanted to play this, too. We're talking about, obviously, you representing a district there in Florida. I wanted to play DeSantis here. He was in North Carolina. He actually spoke about what we're speaking about the Trump indictment. Here's that.
When I was in Congress, I remember, Hillary had the emails with the classified, and my view was, well, gee, as a naval officer, if I would have taken classified to my apartment, I would have been court-martialed in a New York minute. And yet they seem to not care about that. And is there a different standard for a Democrat Secretary of State versus a former Republican president? I think there needs to be one standard of justice in this country.
And that's where things unify, if you will, right. Congressman, where the Florida governor put again the running aside for the White House and is looking at the Justice Department, the FBI, the investigations, what has happened in the past, what has not happened in the past in terms of the emails that he was referencing with Hillary Clinton. Right. How it was that investigated? Was there any indictment? James Comey. Now he's looking at, again, the former president, the current president, and he calls it a two-tiered justice system. Where do you stand with that?
Look, I think the governor's comments are absolutely correct. There has to be one standard. And the reality is that the political brass at the Department of Justice and the FBI has not had one standard. It's catch as catch can. It's all over the place. It's what's the old quote is, from my friends, everything, and from my enemies, the law. That is what's happened in the United States, and it's wrong. Hillary Clinton should have been prosecuted under the Espionage Act. Her emails wound up on the computer of Anthony Weiner, and the only reason we knew that is because he was being investigated for child pornography. That is what happened. You could talk about Sandy Berger. You could talk about so many other instances where the Department of Justice and the FBI either ignored it or gave it a slap on the wrist. Heck, the current president of the United States, Joe Biden, had documents from when he was a United States senator. I'm a United States congressman. I can't walk out of the skiff with classified information. If I do that, I could be prosecuted under the Espionage Act. And so what has happened in our country is wrong. They've chosen to play politics of the worst kind because it's Donald Trump. And I will repeat, The only reason this has become a criminal probe is because the White House counsel allowed the Department of Justice to expand it. This is all supposed to be under the Presidential Records Act, where President Trump and his team are supposed to be working with NARA over a 5-year period to go through all of his documents. And one quick thing, people say, well, he should have been working with NARA. Of course. Do you know how many documents a president of the United States leaves with? You think a president has time before he leaves the White House to go through all his documents? That doesn't even make any sense because he's still running the country until noon on January 20. He's still running the country every single day. It takes them time to go through all their materials. That's why the Presidential Records Act gives ex-presidents and ex-vice presidents, for that matter, a 5-year period to go through their documents and work with NARA.
I'm going to completely pivot here while I have you, if I can. This is Pride Month. There has been a boiling point, if you will, with various corporations, Bud Light, obviously losing a lot of sales to their partnership marketing with Dylan Mulvaney, a transgender activist. You've seen Target have to remove things because they've had pride elements included with children's clothes. In Florida specifically, though, their Democrats target your state, sir, with book bans. Some of that not actually correct. Some of these books were deemed inappropriate for elementary school. It was moved to middle school. The Parental Rights and Education Act signed by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis there in the state. But where do you stand with this? This has been such a heated debate in terms of, again, trans rights and sexualization of children that many believe is happening in this present day. Florida's been pushing back on this, but there are other states that are deeming what this governor has done or what the state of Florida has done in other states as hate. Do you feel that way?
No, I don't. A couple things. When it comes to books in the classroom, you're actually talking to the author of the original law in Florida that allowed parents and members of a community to review material in classrooms. I think that's important. Children are a captive audience when they're in school. So there shouldn't be material in there that is deemed objectionable. If your mom and dad, wouldn't buy it for you, it shouldn't be in the classroom. This is real simple stuff. So pornography and other materials like that in books should not be in the classroom. They should be removed. I totally support that. Number two, when it comes to people choosing to change their identity, that should be reserved for adults, not children. We should not be allowing anybody to walk around the parental rights when it comes to their children. I have 3 sons. It would not be happening if you're going to tell my sons that they get to change their identity and hide it from me as their father. I'm not standing for that. And there are many Americans who are not standing for that. And that is why you're seeing the backlash from these companies who are trying to promote something that they simply don't agree with. If a company chooses to promote something, do that of your own volition. But if Americans choose not to purchase your product and do business with you, there's a reason for that. You got to make a decision running your corporation about what's best for your business. I think Americans are speaking out, and they should. Last note, most people are just tolerant. If you have a lifestyle and that's what you choose to do, that's fine. But don't put that on me. Don't bring that into my home. Don't put that in front of me in every store I go to because I don't want to engage in that. I don't agree with that. That's no disrespect to you and what you choose to do individually in your own person. And I think that's the standard that people want to get to. It's really a standard of tolerance of each other's views, each other's stands on these very personal issues. But to have them thrust into our politics the way this is, these campaigns where companies almost unilaterally are all doing it because they're afraid of being targeted at the shareholder meetings or being afraid of being boycotted by other groups, that's wrong.
Believe it right there. Again, Americans choosing out with their wallets and able to do so. We'll continue that. I want to say thank you to the Congressman for coming on. Also to wish you a very happy Father's Day. I know you'll be able to return to Florida and enjoy a little time with the family.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You got it.